Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Does Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos have Final Four regrets? The Golden Bachelorette season finale featuring Joan Vassos will be airing on Wednesday night. She started with 24 amazing men and is now down to just 2. Of course, being the lead comes with big decisions, and sadly some men left with a broken heart, but new motivation to find love again. It seems she has made the right choices for herself. However, when some fan favorites were sent home, many wondered if Joan would come to regret some of her decisions. Does she have any regrets about her final 4 men? Does Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos have any regrets with final 4 men? As fans sat and watched Joan on her journey to find love, many were disappointed when fan favorites were eliminated. Seeing Jonathan Roan and Mark Anderson go home even before hometowns was rough. Now that Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos has watched her season back, is there anything she would change? Bachelor Nation caught up with Joan to ask her. She said, "So, it turns out that Joan is still proud of the final 4 men she chose and believes she made the right decisions. Now she will choose her final man on Wednesday night. Will it be Guy Gansert or Chalk Chapel?" Joan's favorite date of the season. Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos also opened up and revealed which date was her favorite. She said it was easily the group prom date. This night was very insightful to her. She was able to see the men interacting and see how much they supported one another. Plus, Joan felt like she got to know a few of them better. Of course, Jonathan Roan was named prom king after talking about his prior heartbreak. She knew it after that night that she was going to have a great season. Fans fell for the men just like she did. Now everyone is eager to learn who will be the next Golden Bachelor. Who do you think should get the leading role? Joan Vassos was no stranger to life's hard decisions. As a vibrant 64-year-old navigating her journey through the Golden Bachelorette, she carried decades of wisdom, heartbreak, and growth. But as the dust settled after hometown dates and her final 4 were locked in, whispers of doubt began to creep into her mind. Could she have chosen differently? Did she let emotions cloud her judgment? And perhaps most unsettling, was there one contender who might have been a better match for her heart? The cameras didn't always capture Joan's private moments of reflection. In the world of roses and romantic overtures, the final 4 contestants, Mark Anderson, Pascal Abdi, Chalk Chapel, and Guy Gansert, stood as pillars of hope for her happily ever after. Yet behind the scenes, Joan found herself retracing the steps that led her to this point. Her choices were bold, but were they truly right? The night that changed everything. It all began on a crisp autumn evening during the rose ceremony that determined the final 4. The tension in the room was palpable as Joan held the last rose of the night. Earlier that week, she'd shared an emotionally charged conversation with Jordan Heller, the charming entrepreneur who had been a frontrunner since day 1. Yet something didn't sit right. Jordan had dazzled her with his wit and ambition, but his hesitance to embrace a blended family gnawed at her. Standing before him, she hesitated. The other men, Mark with his poetic soul, Pascal with his magnetic charisma, Chalk with his unflinching devotion, and Guy with his quiet depth, seemed to offer something Jordan couldn't. She handed the rose to Guy, and Jordan's stunned expression haunted her long after the cameras stopped rolling. "I knew I had to follow my heart," Joan later confided in her producer, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "But sometimes the heart is complicated. What if I misjudged him?" Love's twists and turns. As the final 4 prepared to introduce Joan to their families, she immersed herself in their worlds. Mark's hometown in Vermont was a picture-perfect New England dream, complete with maple syrup and heartfelt serenades. Pascal's luxurious Miami lifestyle offered a glimpse of excitement and adventure. Chalk's close-knit community in Alabama welcomed her with open arms, while Guy's serene ranch in Montana whispered of peace and stability. And yet, Joan couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was missing. Jordan's absence left a void she didn't expect. While she admired the men she'd chosen, a nagging question followed her. Had she let go of someone who could have truly understood her? I think Joan is torn between what feels safe and what sets her soul on fire, one of the producers remarked during filming. She knows she made the practical choice, but practicality isn't always what love demands. A conversation that lingers. A week after the final four was announced, Joan received a handwritten letter from Jordan. In it, he poured out his heart, admitting he regretted not being more open about his fears. He explained that his hesitance about a blended family stemmed from his own childhood trauma, but assured Joan he was willing to work through it. The letter ended with a simple yet powerful line. I let fear win, and now I'm afraid I've lost you forever. Joan read the letter in her hotel room, tears slipping down her cheeks. The words resonated deeply, stirring up feelings she thought she had put to rest. She considered reaching out to Jordan, but the show's rules and her commitment to the remaining contestants held her back. I wish I could have this conversation with him face to face, she admitted in a confessional. But I also owe it to the men I've chosen to honor the journey we're on together. Pascal. A risk worth taking. Among the final four, Pascal stood out as the wild card. His glamorous lifestyle and charming bravado were intoxicating, but Joan sometimes questioned his sincerity. Was he here for the right reasons? During their Miami date, Pascal surprised her by revealing a vulnerable side, sharing his struggles with loneliness after his divorce. For the first time, Joan saw past the polished exterior to the man underneath. Pascal has layers, Joan mused later. I just hope I have enough time to peel them back. Yet, even as she grew closer to Pascal, Joan couldn't help but wonder if Jordan's depth might have been the missing piece in her puzzle. Pascal's appeal was undeniable, but would it stand the test of time? Mark and the ghosts of the past. Mark Anderson, the poetic widower, often left Joan breathless with his heartfelt gestures. His ability to articulate emotions mirrored her own, and their connection felt almost fated. But with Mark came a quiet sadness, a lingering grief that sometimes overshadowed their joy. During their hometown visit, Mark's daughter pulled Joan aside for a candid conversation. My dad is an amazing man, she said, her voice trembling, but he's still healing. I just want to make sure you're ready for what that means. The words stuck with Joan, adding another layer of complexity to her already tangled emotions. She cared deeply for Mark, but could she build a future with someone who was still piecing together his past? Chalk and Guy. Two sides of the same coin. Chalk Chapel's unwavering devotion was both a blessing and a challenge. He made Joan feel cherished in a way she hadn't felt in years, yet his intensity sometimes bordered on overwhelming. Chalk loves hard, Joan reflected. But I worry he might love the idea of me more than the reality. Guy Gansard, on the other hand, was the steady anchor Joan didn't know she needed. His calm demeanor and thoughtful gestures provided a sense of security she found comforting. But was comfort enough? Guy represented the life Joan had always imagined for herself, yet part of her craved the unpredictability that someone like Pascal or even Jordan could offer. Regrets and revelations. As Joan approached the next rose ceremony, she couldn't ignore the growing doubts in her heart. Each man offered something unique, yet none felt like the perfect fit. Her regret over letting Jordan go only intensified, making her question the entire process. I came here to find love, but love isn't always black and white, she said during a heartfelt confessional. Sometimes it's messy, complicated, and full of what-ifs. Looking ahead, Joan's journey on the Golden Bachelorette was far from over, but the path ahead was anything but clear. As she prepared to make her next decision, she carried the weight of her choices, and the knowledge that every step brought her closer to the life she was meant to lead. Would Joan find clarity in her final weeks, or would her regrets over Jordan continue to haunt her? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, Joan Vassos was a woman unafraid to face her fears, embrace her flaws, and fight for the love she deserved.